We are just about a week away from hosting the historic IBSF World Championship for bobsled and skeleton here in Lake Placid. So I thought it would be cool to go through the history of the IBSF World Championship. But first, the IBSF, which stands for International Bobsled Skeleton Federation, used to be called FIBT, which is French for Federal Internationale de Bobsleigh et de Tobogganing. The first competition was a four-man bobsled only competition which lasted 2 days in a small town in Switzerland in 1930. This would be Italy's first ever gold medal in four-man bobsled. Tasting bronze in 1930 would start the country's dominance in bobsled and skeleton. Two-man bobsled was introduced in 1931. There would be a trend of the same year in one country four-man bob and in the other country two-man bob. Germany would win the first championship's two-man bobsled gold and silver. Because of a certain war, there was no World Championships from 1940 to 1946. But in 1947, St. Moritz would start the races up again, with that location being the first time that both two-man and four-man competed on the same week. 1949 would be Lake Placid's first ever World Championship. 1960 was quite the year for bobsled, as this would be the only Winter Olympics that did not have a bobsled track. In order for the bobsled track to be built, there needed to be 12 countries interested in competing. There was only 9, so the organizing committee decided to cut costs by not building the bobsled track. This made the World Championship of that year even better. 1966 and 1967 were rough years for bobsled, for two reasons. The 1966 four-man competition was cut short due to the death of a young German pilot, Toni Pespinger. The 1967 four-man competition was also cut short due to the high temperatures causing the ice to melt. 1982 St. Moritz saw the introduction of men's skeleton. Austria and Switzerland would be the first countries to podium for the skeleton championship. 2000 was the progressive year, as we saw not only women's skeleton, but also two women bobsled enter the World Championship. Gabrielle and Kathleen of Germany won the first gold medal in women's two-man in the championship, followed by USA and Switzerland. Steffi Jacob of Germany won the first gold medal in women's skeleton for the championship, followed by Canada and the US. 2004 is when all the disciplines were united. 2007 would introduce the mixed relay for all the disciplines. So, one men's skeleton, one women's skeleton, one two-man bobsled, one two-women bobsled, one four-man bobsled. This one's crazy, because this one was supposed to be in Sochi, Russia. And if you know sports history, you understand that not everybody was feeling going to Sochi, Russia again after certain events. The atmosphere during the 2016-2017 World Cup Series was pretty tense. In 2020, they shortened the team relay to just skeleton mixed race. In 2001, they add women's monobob, and Kaylee Humphreys is the first women's monobob winner for the World Championship, followed by two Germans. In 2023, they added Paralympic bobsled to the rest of the disciplines, which I feel like they should have done for this coming World Championship, as it would have been a much bigger and more inclusive competition. There you have it. The World Championship has changed drastically over the years, from it just being a few countries competing in four-man and then two-man, to 38 countries competing in men's and women's skeleton, women's monobob, women's two-man, and four-man bobsled. 300 athletes from 38 countries, from a few athletes representing a single-digit number of countries.